Hello and welcome to another video. It has been quite a long time and honestly I thought I wasn't coming back, but I enjoy making videos, so here we are. So I feel like you can always tell where around my mental state is by just how many books I have started reading and not finished, and this is the current stack. Actually, no, there's two more. This is the current stack. It's a doozy. Oh my god. You can't even really, it's a lot, and it's causing me a bit of anxiety. So we're going to, I don't know, start like a new series or something where I try to read through this stack and actually finish the books that I've started for once in my life. Either that or I'm gonna DNF them. So I don't really have a reason for why I stopped reading half of these. I wanted to read something else, or it got boring, or I couldn't handle the writing style any longer, or I don't know. I'm going to do a quick rundown of what all of the books are, and then in this video I'm probably only going to read like 2 of them. I think that's my goal. I think anything more than 2 to try to finish these and I'm going to get overwhelmed. So starting on the top, these are the most recent books, and then on the bottom is ones that I have put down like a year ago. First is, oh my god. First is The Fear by Natasha Preston. I made it to page 147 and I just like stopped reading it because the main character got to be incredibly annoying. But I'm like halfway through and I just want to finish this book, and I don't want to DNF it because I recently DNF'd one of her other books, The Cabin, and I just like, how can I say that this is one of my favorite authors if I keep DNFing her books? I do always give the caveat though that Natasha Preston is not a good writer, but I love her books by just how purely bad they are. Next, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. This is the second book in the Harry Potter series, and I recently decided I was going to reread all of these books. This one I actually picked up yesterday and started reading, so like these 2 are probably the ones I'm going to focus on for this video just because they're the most recent and they're the ones I'm most likely going to finish. Next, I have this supernatural book with a subtitle Nevermore by Keith R.A. Candido. I don't know. This book is based off of the TV series and it takes place, I believe, it takes place between the second season episodes 8 and 9. I made it to page 98. I don't know, I stopped reading this one because the author is very detailed. Like there's so much detail in these books that it's kind of hard to pay attention to the main story. And like some of these details just aren't necessary. On top of that, the characters are acting a little bit uncharacteristic from the TV show. And the whole reason why I'm reading this is because I love the show so much and I was making a video comparing it to the show, but I haven't touched that video in like 6 months. So unlikely I'm gonna finish that video at this point, but I still want to read the book. So next up we got Bunny by Mona Awad. I've seen this really hyped up on BookTube, BookTok, literally everywhere that books exist. I've seen this book hyped up and I really wanted to read it, and then I got it around October, November-ish and started reading it right away and got to page 56, and then I stopped reading it because I want to really do a deep dive into this book and I want to give it all of my attention, and I just didn't have the time at that time period to really give this my all because I was like doing so many other things, and I want to just like sit down with this for a 24-hour readathon or something and just read it in one sit through. Next we have A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. I read the first book in like, I don't know, February or something. It was like the second book I ever reviewed on my BookTube channel like 2 years ago. And then I picked this one up like a year later and I'm still working on it. I'm on page 398, so like this far of the way through, and it's just, I don't know, I'm like having a really hard time getting into it. I feel like not the best things are happening right now and there's a lot of negativity, and I thought this was supposed to be like a fairy romance and I'm just not getting that yet. Like there's little snippets here and there. I've come to the point where I absolutely hate Tamlin, which I think is the point, and that I love Rhys, but like I don't get enough romance yet, and so I keep putting this down and not touching it for a month. Next we have New Moon by Stephanie Meyer. I got to page 164 in this book, probably like a third of the way through. I was reading this because they were doing a Twilight readathon and I wanted to reread the books since I read them in middle school and I never really reread them. And yeah, I just put this one down because this one is a little bit insufferable. I remember reading this one the absolute fastest when I was in middle school, but now as a whole grown adult, like I just can't. I'm just not having a fun time, but I want to. Like I want to go back, I want to reread the entire series. I just have to pick it back up. Next we got Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I've heard so many good things about this. This one was also hyped up. I started reading this one around October-ish for like Halloween time because I thought it would be like fun whimsical fantasy vibes. I got to page 50 and then I stopped reading it because I was doing something else at work, I think. I don't really remember exactly why I put it down, but the prose was a little bit difficult for me to get into. So this one might end up being one that I DNF from this pile, but I'm not 100% sure. I have to give it another chance. Then we have Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is a self-help book about, like, you know, doing better, being more productive and stuff like that. I made it to chapter 3, page 42, like really not that far into the book at all. I started reading this when we were moving, so last summer, and I put it down because there were so many other things to do. And then when I wanted to pick up a book, I wanted that escapism of like a fiction. And so I didn't pick this one back up, and I haven't since. I really have no excuses. And the last one is The Stand by Stephen King, the extended uncut edition. And this is wicked big. I made it to page 73. Not far into the book at all. It was very interesting. The problem with this one and why I put it down was because I got very intimidated because it's very chunky and there were so many books that I wanted to read at the same time as this book, so I put it down. I was also doing a different video for this, so it's not going to be part of this series, but I thought I would mention it. Anyways, that's enough talking. I will update you when I've made any progress on any of these books. Okay, so it's been a few days and I have made the tiniest bit of progress, like teeny tiny little bit, and that's for two different reasons. Well, first, I made it to page 74 of Chamber of Secrets, and we're right at the part where they have like stolen the car and they just like flew right into the Whomping Willow, like they just made it to school. So like they haven't even really gotten to much shenanigans yet, just besides, you know, destroying the Whomping Willow. I'm really enjoying my reread of these. Like, reading these books again just feels like a warm blanket. Like, they're just so cozy, and it makes me happy. But the reason why I didn't read too much of this was because, one, I just finished reading the first book and I wanted to watch the movie again because I like doing that. I like watching the movie after I read the book, even though I've seen the movies probably like 20 times each. It's just like, I gotta do it while it's fresh. So I was kind of like trying not to get too far into this before I could watch the movie, the first one. And the second reason is because I'm absolutely terrible and started another book. I know it defeats the whole purpose of this entire video, but like I just wanted to read it, so I started it. This is The Misadventures of a Good Wife by Meredith Wilde and Helen Hart. I made it to page 64. I don't really want to get too much into this besides it being an adult romance that's pretty spicy. The loose story that's behind all of the spiciness is that the main character, Kate, is married to this guy, Price, who is like her soulmate. And then Price dies in a plane crash, but he doesn't actually die. And a year later, she comes into contact with him again, and he gives her the option of either going back to her life or disappearing with him and faking her own death as well, I think. But yeah, I'm kind of enjoying it so far. It's what you would expect a book like this to be, so. Anyways, today is Friday, and then I have the next 3 days off of work, so I plan on getting a lot of reading done. So hopefully I have a better update next. So I just finished The Misadventures of a Good Wife. I did not like it. I'm gonna give it 2 stars. It was not good. I already kind of said what the storyline was, and that's really what the entire book was. Like, the storyline was so loosey-goosey, and it was kind of convoluted and pretty unbelievable, and I really just didn't understand most of it, like what the issue was. On top of that, this is a pretty spicy book, but like boring spicy. Like, the sex scenes were not good, and there was way too many of them. There was like a sex scene every other page. Like, to solve any kind of problem, there was a sex scene. And it was kind of copy and paste the same one over and over again, so it's like, I don't want to read the same sex scene 50 times. Like, I just don't. The number, the sameness, I don't want it. It was not good, which is weird because I read another book in this series. I think it was The Misadventures of a City Girl. That one was Meredith Wilde and somebody else. I think like Shell Bliss, I think was her name. Anyways, that one was like loads better than this one. This one was just not it. So that doesn't really count as any books that I actually finished for this video because that wasn't even in my pile. I did make a little bit more progress in The Fear. I read a couple more chapters, so I'm like this far in now. And this one is a slow going because the main character is so annoying. So like the whole premise of this book is somebody shared a meme that was basically asking, what is your like fear? Like what do you think is the scariest way to die? People in the town are slowly getting picked off and being killed by what they said their fear was, which is kind of like a really interesting concept, but it's just not carried out very well because the main character is so incredibly annoying. Like she's so dense, but she also knows everything that's going on somehow. So she has called out everything. Like she knew that this was murders before the cops even like said anything about it. Like she found the first body, everybody just assumed that it was like self-done but she immediately went to like, nope, that was her fear, I saw it in the meme. Nobody else even believed her for a while. She's also the type of character that like blames everybody for being suspicious without them even like ever doing anything. Like they'll breathe wrong and she'll be like, you're guilty, like that looked mad suspicious. It's just it's so annoying. So it's like hard to read more than like a couple chapters at a time for this, so it's like really slow going. But yeah, that's it for now. No more progress on Harry Potter so far. It's been a long time. I don't even really remember the last time that I filmed. It's been a long time. I've finally finished The Fear though. This book took me like an entire month to read. I don't know, maybe it took me longer. I don't even remember when I started reading this, but I know that since I started this video, it's been like 3 weeks or something, and I planned on this only taking a week. Okay, so here's why. 2 stars. 2 sad little stars, because listen, this was not written well. The ending was terrible, the beginning was terrible, the middle, you guessed it, terrible. I'm just having this problem because like I've been reading Natasha Preston's books in order from the time they got published. Mostly, I think there was 2 that I switched up. I think I read The Twin out of order, but I'm pretty sure I read all the rest of them in publication order, with this one being the newest that was released in March last year. And there seems to be this like pattern of her books getting worse and worse as she like goes on instead of getting better and better, and I don't understand. It's just not, it's not good. So the reason why this took me so long to read is because the main character, Izzy, is so incredibly annoying. She seems to have like everything figured out from the start and just like jumps to the wildest conclusions and believes them, and then tries to convince everybody around them that her theories are fact without having any kind of evidence besides she just thinks this way. And it's so annoying because she refuses to listen to anybody. And even when people question her, like, why are you so involved? Why are you so invested? She's like, oh, because I found the first body. Like, girl, that doesn't mean you need to be as invested as you are. Like, she just starts accusing Axel, like one of the characters, from the start with absolutely no evidence. Like, no reason to accuse him at all. I did tab this one up and I like underlined and stuff, and I haven't done this for a book in a long time, so it was kind of like fun to do. But it was also like frustrating because I was paying more attention to the parts that were really annoying, if that makes any sense. Also, at this like green tab is when I accidentally read a spoiler of who the killer was. And I was really mad about that and hoping that whoever left that review on Goodreads without putting any kind of warning or anything was just trolling, but they weren't. So if you're gonna read this book, don't read any Goodreads reviews until you're finished. Anyways, 2 sad stars. I hope I never have to read or think about Izzy ever again because she's the most annoying character I've ever read about, except for the main character in Evermore. She was the only character I could think of that was more annoying than Izzy. So this whole video was supposed to be me reading books that I've been currently reading and finishing that list. I didn't make it any farther into Harry Potter. I stopped at page like 74-ish. Like I just wanted to focus on this one and get it finished because it was driving me crazy and I just wanted to be done with it. And then I also finished this one. So I don't know if I made a lot of progress here, but I feel accomplished. That's all that matters, really. So just to wrap up, I'm sorry that my videos have been very inconsistent recently. I'm working on that, but it's a process. Not quite sure what my next video is going to be or when it's going to be, but thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye!